No Jumper, coolest podcast in the world. I'm in here with Alexis Texas today. How you doing?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, this is pretty epic. Have you ever noticed people mentioning you in rap songs? Is that the kind of thing that enters into your consciousness as an adult star?
You know, I didn't think of it going in and being an adult star, but I think it is pretty cool. I always feel like whenever it does happen, a friend or somebody will be like, hey, do you know they sung about you?
Right.
Do you know them? I'm like, I don't know them at all, but...
There's something about having a rhyming name that people will just rap about you a lot. Like, I noticed that Chief Keef and Waka Flocka get like way more, like very influential rappers, very great men. They get way more shout outs than I think a lot of other rappers get because their names have a rhyme, and then you have like the same superpower.
I like to have superpowers, so I'll take that.
It's pretty cool. Can I got to quote this one, and I'm so glad that one of my employees reminded me of this today because it would have felt like a huge gaping hole, pause, in this interview if I didn't say this, but RIP, the great Juice WRLD.
Yes.
You know which one I'm about to cite?
I do, please.
I'm a young king. I might fuck Alexis Texas, but I ain't on no Drake shit. I won't get her pregnant. Damn young Juice WRLD boy, you so reckless.
Yes.
Rest in peace.
R.I.P. That was one of the first ones that I was like, I like that. You never know whose mind you're running across, and so I think that it's cool to be, again, a part of their song in some way.
I think Billie Eilish is right about this one too, though, because Juice WRLD's lying. He had a girlfriend the whole time I known him.
But don't they all lie a little bit? And not all the things in their songs are really like exact things.
It's embellishment.
For sure.
It's artistic. He said, I might fuck Alexis Texas, which is really just like, I might do some cool ass shit that y'all are not expecting from me.
That's true. But it was like, catching,
I got a trick up my sleeve. Have you dated within the rap community?
I have not.
Not at all?
I have not. No, I haven't.
Really?
Yes.
That's too bad.
I don't know. I feel like I was married for a long time.
What years are we talking there?
What years? A long time ago. I've happily divorced for 5 years, so a long time ago. But I was married when I first got into a little bit after in the industry, and then I was kind of dating, and now I'm single. So who knows?
How's that going?
Never say never.
How's single life?
Single life's really weird. It's really weird dating world out there. I feel like it's.
That's what I keep hearing.
Yeah, you're happy. You're happy that you don't have to do that.
Being out of the. I remember last time I was in a relationship for 2 years, around 2008, 2009. I got back into the dating game, and everybody had Facebook. And before I got into that relationship, everybody was MySpaced out.
Now everyone's Instagrammed out. People will
you
find your whole
TikTok,
history, before click this picture, go somewhere else. And
you should go date on TikTok. Go find a dude on there. There's got to be some. No, yeah, definitely not.
One of my songs from my name in it was really famous on TikTok. It was Aloha from 10K Cash. It was Where's Alexis Texas?
Oh, and he is a Texas legend himself, so that's pretty cool.
That was a cool one. I actually was in his video for that.
He's somebody you might want to consider dating.
He's too young for me.
That is a good point.
He's just barely turned 18, so I don't even think I even said anything to him about the song until he turned 18. But
I could plug you guys together or whatever. Have you thought?
I know him. I was in his video.
Oh, we were in the video.
Yeah,
that's
I was in
amazing.
the video. Yes, Def Jam did that, so it was pretty fun.
10K Cash. But how do you feel about that haircut? The shag?
It's to each his own.
It's such like a haircut that if you didn't know that half the dudes in Dallas have that haircut.
I was gonna say it's a Texas thing,
Right. You would be like, what the fuck? Like if you were just some dude from London and you came to Dallas for some reason and you just saw 8 guys standing in the corner with that haircut, you'd be like, are they all deformed? Do they have tumors growing out of their necks? Ladies and gentlemen, as long as you're all turned up watching me and Alexis Texas talk about God knows what, I just want to make sure that you know that this podcast is sponsored by BlueChew.com. If you love sex, you'll love BlueChew.com. Blue Chew is the male performance enhancement of choice. If you head on over to their website, you could talk to a licensed physician who will basically educate you about what the proper dosage is. These are delicious gummies. It's not some big old horse pill. This is the real deal. So if you want to take your sex life to the next level, like Alexis Texas or Adam 22 might want you to, then head on over to BlueChew.com and use promo code Adam22. You will pay just $5 in shipping. That's BLUE Chew.com and use the promo code Adam22. There's no awkward conversations. You don't have to go talk to some guy standing on the street corner. You just head on over to BlueChew.com and use promo code Adam22, $5 shipping. That's it. Now, let's get back to this Alexis Texas interview. Big shout out to Blue Chew. There's one other really good lyric too, which is funny because that song was Juice WRLD and Lil Yachty. Juice WRLD said that lyric, but then there's also a Yachty song where he said, "I'm about to cop the No Limit necklace. Daydream about Alexis Texas. Boy, her booty too reckless."
Ooh, my booty is reckless.
It's funny that they both rhymed reckless with Alexis Texas.
Like you said, my name is easily, rhymed with. So maybe that is good, good rhyming.
It's just interesting to see how rappers like all think sort of similarly. Like they say Alexis Texas, and like two great minds, Yachty and Juice, both went to reckless.
I mean, maybe that's what my booty does to them. Makes them reckless.
Was there a time period where you just found out, like, wow, I guess I'm blessed with this ass?
I think I mean, I didn't really know, like being from Texas, everything's bigger in Texas. So
A lot
it's
of good butts in
something-
Texas,
There's
yeah.
a lot of curvy women in Texas. So it's something I just kind of embraced from early on. And I didn't really feel like I found out until like high school-ish because I was playing basketball and we used to dress up for game days. So like I would wear, dress pants or something like that. And like, they'd be like, "Oh, your booty's just shaking." And like, "Oh, I could see your ass from the front." And I'm like, "Oh, thanks."
But that's a weird thing, is that giant ass was not necessarily all that popular
It was not.
until maybe the last like 5 to 10 years, maybe a
That's
little
true.
longer. But I mean, it's very weird to think about that wasn't really a thing until Instagram.
Well, that's why I feel like for me it was something that just, I was born that way. I was,
Right.
I'm part Puerto Rican, so my booty comes being just born that way.
But-
So I didn't really think of it anything different. And being also from Texas, you see so many beautiful, women out there that are just curvy girls and just kind of out there with big booties.
Curvy, but like, in your case, it's more of like an hourglass curve, whereas
Because it's put together.
But a lot of the women in Texas, it might be like a different type of curve. It might be more like a bell curve. It's like not really the kind of curve.
I say there's different classifications of booties, little big
This is
booty,
true.
big booty, big booty, and there's just booty.
And it just depends like where you are on the dude marketplace, because there's a lot of guys out there who just like booty so much that they're willing to accept a big booty, and the rest of the body can just be doing whatever it has to do.
Yes, most times like, it usually doesn't have like really no chest, no nothing, because that was, again, at that time big tits were a big thing, but that didn't really matter in Texas, I feel like.
But
until-
did you feel like you were getting attention from, like, did you start dating specific types of dudes because of the fact that they were the ones who are really into your body type?
I don't think so. I feel like I don't think I even really had a type even back then. I think it was just, I don't know. I think maybe I took control of those situations and guys that I liked, but I don't think it had anything to do with per se with my actual attributes.
That's your personality though? You think you're like the big dog, you're in charge?
I am pretty alpha, but with men in relationships, I'm not alpha, but I do like to control the situation, which sounds very confusing. I think in the beginning, the initial part, like, I don't know, I feel like the chase, I feel like it has to be an equal thing. It can't just be one-sided.
Really? Interesting. Because you must have a shitload of dudes like coming up to you all the time. How do they break through the wall that you put up around yourself to protect
really
yourself?
big walls up, it's
Whoa.
really, really, really bad to say. But it's, I think, again, that's why I feel like dating is so odd, these days, because, I was married out for a while, and then, I did date after that. So it's just, I don't know, it's just very different. So I've seen where someone who was in the business, who I was married to, had nothing to do with wanting my name or anything from me, and then someone outside the business that wasn't anything, again, still not wanting anything. But I feel for me with dating-wise, I feel like at first, the first thing that goes to my head is, do you want to date Alexis Texas, or do you want to date Alexis?
And do you get a lot of that, or a lot of clout munching, that they just want a famous girl?
I feel like at first, I always say that, they don't know you, they've never seen your movies, but I feel like it's kind of hard to say these days, which I don't know if that's pretentious or not, but like, I mean,
What
there's
do you get? You don't got Pornhub?
there's just so much porn out there, and,
Right.
if you search any big booty, my name is going to pop up, or you may hear me in a song, you never know. So it's just really crazy. So that goes in my head first. And then, then it's like, are you going to entertain me? I like to be entertained. I like to laugh. I like to, and I'm also a strong personality. So those are all big things, traits to have. And so I feel like, sometimes it takes a hard individual to break down those walls. But it's, it's capable, it's possible. Like I said, I've dated and, not in my industry, and I've had fun. But it's just, I think that a lot of people are intimidated. It's the intimidating factor, because they think like, oh, you just want to date people in porn. You've dated people, you've been with porn stars. How do you date and have sex in your real life? And it's like, perfectly normally and fine.
Right.
I haven't shot in over almost 4 years now.
Wow, what is stopping you from shooting at this point, since your rate is probably way up? People want to they want to get you in there.
That's true. For me, I think it was just, about evolving and where I am in my life. I'd had a really good career, and I always wanted to leave when I was on top, and I didn't want to have to be like, oh, she's still here and doing this, which, it's to each his own. I've always lived by that motto, but I feel like for me now, it's kind of like I've kind of joined the podcast around myself and kind of just been doing more branding on that aspect. So I started Private Talk a couple months ago, and I've been really focusing on that and just kind of getting out there and getting my voice heard, because I've had, Alexis Texas, and we all see what she does behind camera and these sex scenes, but now it's like the first time, even with social media, I haven't really given my opinion on a lot of things. So I feel like this is the first time for me to have a platform to kind of get out there and, meet new people as well, and kind of speak my mind on topics and things like that I want to kind of let my fans and new listeners know.
It's crazy how many non-porn opportunities there seem to be popping up for current or former adult stars. Like, it just feels like it's very much like a porn star used to be this thing that was completely separate from the rest of society, and maybe you'd hear about some famous guys hanging out with them, but you didn't see a ton of crossover between the adult content and the real world. And now it feels like girls who are popping porn stars are like one, they're right around, they could just tune their Instagram up a little bit, and all of a sudden they're just doing Fashion Nova brand deals, and that's their new identity.
I feel like I do believe that there are, opportunities. I feel like they were always there, but I feel like we've also been shunned from a lot of things that I feel like, the society and everything is kind of more not, like, sex isn't as taboo as it once was. And I feel like people are kind of more open about doing it. And, now if you watch, regular movies on the screen, it's pretty much borderline like softcore porn sometimes, So I feel like there is doors that are being opening, which I just feel like it's, kind of finally a time that we have other platforms that we can use to show that we're not just sexual beings and creatures, that we do have minds, we do have other endeavors that we want to do. And I think that, it's giving us more of a time and a platform to do that.
It's got to be weird for a lot of adult stars, though, because it's kind of like once you do a bunch of adult content, it's almost like it doesn't matter if you keep doing it, because it's once you do 5 scenes, it's like if you have 5 scenes or you have 500 scenes, it's like you make a lot more money from doing 500, but if you got 5 out there, it's almost like you might as well just keep doing it. I see a lot of girls who kind of like pivot to something else. They start having a different, way of monetizing their life and everything, but then they'll just keep shooting low key and not really promote it on their social media.
I think a lot of it now, the business has changed a lot from when I got in until, even currently, and 4 years ago when I stopped shooting. I think that it just kind of really, it separates the people from like a porn star and people who are just porn actresses. I feel like there is a big difference. I feel like, but I think porn stars really use loosely. I feel like everyone who thinks if you've done 1 scene or 2, and I think that the star power is kind of like taken away nowadays. I feel like with that being said, I feel like it's about branding. It's about, doing all those things, and that's what kind of longevity and what girls are really still current in the business that are doing those things, or do the 5 scenes and whatever. But like you said, it's never going to go away. If I do 1 scene, 5 scenes, 100 scenes, it's never going to go away. But I feel like it's,
If a girl has a OnlyFans and she posts videos of herself masturbating, let's say, should she refer to herself as a porn star?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I feel like, it's about the longevity, who who your fans are, and like being recognized and things like that. I feel like I wasn't even myself a porn star until like maybe the 5th year I was in the business, and I was in the business for over 10 years. I think that, but again, it has changed. It's not really like how it was before with DVDs and box covers and, these appearances that were once a big deal. And now it's just kind of more lucrative as far as the OnlyFans and more those kind of niche kind of things. And webcamming is a really big thing as well. So I feel like people are more popular in their own merit in those things, but I wouldn't necessarily call them stars, a porn star.
Like if you were to go even do, like if you were to make your triumphant return and drop a crazy scene or whatever with a big porn company, it's like whatever they're going to pay you is almost certainly less than the additional bump that you would see in your OnlyFans and stuff from just getting more subscribers and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So all of a sudden, the mainstream porn companies who used to be like the sole source of revenue for somebody like you, not sole, but like majority of the money you were bringing in, all of a sudden are just basically like an advertising platform for your own thing.
Agreed. And I also feel like it kind of showed us how greedy some of those companies were and how much money they were really making. And, as an independent contractor, you can't control or see numbers, and that they're really making. And so now because you are seeing the pay difference from an OnlyFans thing, it's kind of like, again, as a business person, how could you go back and do what's making it's like you're losing money in doing something like that. So it does, and they do have advertising things, but I feel like it's kind of awoken a lot of, even performers like myself of knowing the capability of what we could do with eliminating the middleman.
There was probably, like, when you got into porn, there was probably very few girls that were making $1 million a year, right?
Oh, for sure.
And now there's a lot.
There's a lot.
And there's no fucking companies involved.
Exactly.
That's crazy.
It's definitely changed, the game. And again, it's social media. It's like the internet. It's, it's a blessing. It's definitely given us more of more of a say and a stand of like what we can do with our business ongoing as well.
So you got into doing porn at 21?
I was 21.
Okay. So what was your sex life leading up to that, and what helped you make the decision that that's what you wanted to do?
My sex life before I was in college, and so I was just young, dumb, and full of cum. I just had sex like every other college girl. I was a bartender.
You went to frat parties?
I didn't do frat parties because I worked. I was like a bartender and assistant manager at a bar.
Well, there's a lot
on
of
the
dick to get as a bartender.
That's
I'm assuming.
true. So you see all the drunk ones and non-ones, like what to navigate. You see what you do, and if they're still awake. And where I went to college, it closed really early. I think it was like midnight and 1 o'clock on the weekends. So most times we'd either go to Austin, which was not very far, and
6th Street,
yes,
war zone.
6th Street is pretty crazy.
I lived out there for a few months, and it is a scary, scary scene every night.
It is. It's pretty intense. It's like Mardi Gras, like
Yeah.
all year round.
There's like a big part of me that would like to just go to 6th Street and just sort of stand on a roof and just watch as all the different bars flood out. And because there's literally like a frat, like jock bar, and then like a Puerto Rican bar, and they're like both let out at the same time. But then like a ton of other bars too, and they all let out. And then somebody steps on somebody's foot, and all of a sudden they're just beating the dog shit out of each other. It is so.
There's always a fight on 6th Street. No, never gonna.
And there's
fail.
cops on horses to stop it. And
Yeah.
even that, like even
They
these
close
dudes.
down the whole street, and and there's even the local ones too that stay that have a little tutu, that has little, it's fun.
And it's
You
like,
never know what you're gonna get.
for me, like the second where I'm about to punch somebody, and then I remember like, oh yeah, there's 5 cops on horses
They're
right
ready.
there. That makes me know I'm not gonna punch this dude.
Yeah, that's a good call.
I'm not even scared of the
don't
cop.
wanna-
I'm scared of the horse.
the horse. You don't want to get kicked.
Real talk. Okay, so because being the bartender is kind of like training for being like a stripper or an adult star, right? Because you're sort of like the focus of the whole room. Everybody needs to come to you. You're like mini famous in that environment, right?
And yeah, I guess in some sense the word. I've always liked, attention of things. But I started from doing shot girl, waitress, bartender. I moved, from the bottom all the way to the top. Before I left, I was assistant manager.
And were you like working at the bar and you'd have people coming in and saying like, oh, you're wasting your talent. You need to get in the industry?
Not at all. That's like, I don't even think that's I know no one ever even told me anything about porn. I never watched porn at that time at all. It was very, very random and very just kind of fell into my lap. And yeah.
Interesting. Because there's like most people out there, like most girls who are, let's say promiscuous, they probably wouldn't think about doing the porn thing because it just seems so crazy to put all that information out there. Did that occur to you at all in your head, or how did this go?
No, not really. Like how I got approached, it was a company called Shane's World, which was reality-based porn, and at that time there was none. So it was kind of really new, and also back then it was pre-internet, but like the very early on. So to do a DVD took months to replicate, edit it, and do all those things like that. So my first scene actually didn't come out until way later, and I did an internet scene that came out like immediately.
How
So it was
did you
very
get
different.
approached about that?
So I was going to a bar, or going to work, and I had actually been approached by Eliminate the couple of days before because they wanted me to be on the show. So I thought it was the same people, and they were like coming back to talk to me. And I was like, if you want to talk, you have to go in the bar. They're like, we're not the Eliminate people. They're like, but we're doing this thing out here. We're trying to get girls that are in college that have never done scenes before to do a scene in a movie with me. So I was like, okay, cool. They're like, we're going to Austin tonight. We're here. Take my number. When you get off of work, if you want to meet up, let me know. So we exchanged numbers, and I never heard from them. So the next day, being like, oh, I didn't like rejection, I was like, oh, I guess you didn't really want me in your movie anyways, which I had no idea, or not. I didn't message him to be like, oh, I want to be in your movie. I just didn't know where it came from.
You were pissed, like, how dare you?
Yeah,
fucking
like, why
tease
am I
me?
not good enough for your movie? Like, it's that like denial, like I don't know,
Yeah.
all those things. So he answered right away, and he was like, oh my God, I didn't think you'd even want to do it. He was like, where are you? And I'm like, I'm at home. He's like, we're on our way back to Houston. He was like, we'll turn around right now if you want to do it. I'm like, I'm not saying I want to do it. So he stayed on the phone with me for like an hour. They picked me up. I ended up doing a scene with him. And yeah.
That's crazy. I wonder what the success rate is like. Like, I'm trying to imagine if I were just to go to like random bars in Texas and just ask the bartenders
Well,
if
he
they want to do
originally
porn.
started because he was from Texas and he had one girl already committed to doing it who he had known. So he knew, and she had college friends that I guess they had said that they were going to do. So he had kind of like it's kind of set up a little bit, but he was trying to get girls to do a thing. So it was a whole series.
I feel like the opportunity to do adult content is like much more present in the minds of the average woman these days because OnlyFans and the private snap thing has kind of made it a lot more accessible that like even girls who haven't done it have maybe at least sort of ran through it in their head and been like, yeah, I'm not going to do that.
Well, I think there's just so much more too. And then also the internet changed the game. There's just so much to like filter and go through. And I also think that women watch more porn nowadays as well. Like doing, when I do appearances and like that, there's more women, I feel like, at sometimes than there are men. Actually, more vocal women as well.
But are they like feisty lesbians or are they
Not
just
all the
sort of like
time.
chill fans?
They're chill fans. I mean, there's an assortment of every kind of fan, But I feel like for me, one thing I get a lot is they're like, thank you for being a curvy girl and like letting us feel comfortable and like in our own skin, Because
that's cool.
I kind of like I don't know, like I've just always felt comfortable in my own skin, so I felt like I'm just like to be naked most of the time. So they just like kind of thinking that way. So for me, I think that that's a really cool to get out of that because I'm not the average skinny, big boob like girl. I have curves, I have hips, I've got a booty.
Have you always kind of had the same body type your whole life though?
I have, yeah. I've always been really like athletic. I played sports in high school, college, and yeah. So I've always had that athletic build.
You still work out a lot?
I do work out. I work out like twice a week, not like crazy amount, but I do work out.
Okay. You're not that obsessed with it?
Not that obsessed. I know I started working out with a trainer a couple months ago, like 4 months ago, just, new year kind of thing. We're getting ready for the new year, just being healthier. The older you get, I don't bounce back as much as I once was. So,
You still drink and shit?
I do like to drink.
You're good at it, I'm assuming?
I'm good at it. Coming from Texas, yeah, we were built that way.
I feel like I'm like officially like not good at drinking anymore. And if I were to start again, I would probably be like a fucking straight up like freshman.
Yeah, you'd have the bad hangovers the next day. You got one good night in you.
I don't know. Cause I mean, I just haven't really drank in so long. I haven't drunk in so long that I don't know if it would like, I could drink and I'd feel fine or if I could drink and then I would feel absolutely devastated because I'm not used to it anymore.
Yeah, I feel like I drink to like, it's like a maintained thing. I don't drink to like get wasted and sloppy. I'm not like a big shots person, but I like to drink and.
What, like end of the night, couple glasses of wine type thing?
I do like wine. I like some red wine these days.
I see, but I don't know. I feel like a big part of why I don't drink is like my stomach gets fucked up.
Yeah, you gotta know what you're drinking.
The wine will still do that.
Yeah, I don't know. It's part of getting old.
So you, it is. So you decide, wait, how old are you?
34.
Oh, I'm 36, so we're sort of in the same bracket. Okay, so you decide that you actually want to do it. Does this guy actually come, he turns around on the highway and comes right back?
They turn around on the highway, they come and pick me up, and then, yeah, so I still don't really know what I've gotten myself in at this time. And we go and we do a scene in the middle of somebody's land. And
somebody's land? What kind of land? Like a grass field or like a canyon?
Yeah, it was underneath a tree on a grassy knoll.
So no permits, I'm assuming.
No, it was like, it was reality. It was just kind of like on a whim thing. So we went to a flea market, which sounds really crazy and cliche of sorts, but in Texas, there's on the side of the road. So then we got a blanket. It was all romantic, but not.
A romantic blanket. Wow.
So in Texas, everyone has a lot of land. So we just went on a dirt road and they just stopped. And under this big oak tree type thing, I was like, the whole time when we were doing this scene, I was like, looking out, being like, someone's going to come out with a shotgun and it's not going to end well. But we did our scene. It didn't happen and went about our business. And then...
You talk about this like you didn't have any anxiety about...
I had horrible anxiety.
Oh,
You got to imagine, like, I was a 21-year-old girl, didn't know my phone call telling him, hey, I didn't think you'd want me in your movie would, like, result me being in a car with these people about to film me have sex with someone that I've never had sex with or even made out with at the time.
Yeah, what was the
so
nerve-wracking
really
part?
nervous
Was it the camera? Was it being in public? Was it fucking this random dude that you never met before?
Well, it wasn't that I didn't met him because I met him the night before. So technically,
You were pretty
but,
close, yeah.
you know, not complete stranger, but stranger.
Right.
I think it was a little bit of everything, but again, too, being young, dumb, and full of cum, like I said, like I got the adrenaline.
You mean literally full of cum? Like, there was a bunch of other cum already in there?
I mean, no, I wasn't like that at all. I don't do cream pies.
Oh,
Sorry.
really?
Yeah, no.
But I've heard that that's like a thing that happens a lot, is that women will have like a multiple different nuts inside them, and those nuts will actually be going to war with each other
That
to
just sounds
fertilize the egg.
horrible.
Well, this is happening inside your body, not right now, but at other times in your life, maybe. Isn't that
Have
crazy?
you done this to someone? Is this what you're telling me?
I mean, I would have no, because I've barely came in any girls in my whole
look
life.
at your
So
smile on your face, Liz. As you're like,
no,
you're
no.
reminiscing about all the times you came.
Listen, I've
inside
gone
those
my
girls.
entire life not knocking anybody up until very recently, and all of a sudden I'm just coming to my girl like freely, which is such a strange feeling.
It's just free world.
And being disappointed when she's not pregnant. My whole life I've been so thankful every time I had sex with anyone and they didn't get pregnant.
No, it flips the script.
Yeah, it's great.
Try harder.
Yeah, I gotta try harder. Okay, so you do that one scene.
Yes.
No cream pie.
No. I've only done one, and that was with my ex-husband.
Oh.
Yeah, that's not my thing.
In your whole life, you only let one guy shoot the club up.
No, shoot the club up. I like that. My club has definitely been shot up a lot of times, but not very many. I can count the people on like my one hand.
Oh, but you're talking about on camera.
On camera, I only did it one time. Yes.
Right. Okay.
Yes.
So then.
So we kept in contact. So we went out our way. We kept in contact.
Did you have to sign waivers and shit when you did this, or is this old school enough that?
Actually, I think I don't know.
Because when
I did because I got paid, so I had to sign something.
It's so weird though, because when I did my one scene, I'm like, they're making me sign it in front of you. I'm like saying to the camera, I am not under the effect of any drugs or alcohol, blah, blah, blah.
Did you have to have like the newspaper where the date, where it's like the actual thing? They like show that it's real, like proof of life.
But I've heard about that a lot. I was actually bummed out that I didn't get to hold a newspaper. It's just so cool because they probably had so many fucking lawsuits that they're like,
yeah, legal.
Let's do everything we could possibly imagine to make sure that.
And then you had to check out as well at the end. Did you check out your scene at the end?
Check out what?
Like they do a video at the end of your scene with the same thing, being like, did something happen to you on set? Are you sure that, did you consent to everything that happened to make sure that they are, they're not liable anymore?
We should start doing that with these podcasts too.
Are you sure that you are okay with what's going on?
Did Adam ask you anything you felt inappropriate about? That's a good idea. But let me ask you this, as somebody who's been doing it for a while, like, did it used to be that people were partying a lot more in the actual, like, when they're filming? Because that doesn't seem to be the vibe when I talk to girls these days, that nobody's, like, getting fucked up to do porn that often.
I don't really know. Like, not for me per se. Like, I don't, like, I mean, I know people would party like before and like things like that, but on set, like it was never really like that kind of environment.
Right.
Like you knew the girls that took longer in the bathroom or like, went outside and like smoked or did whatever, or stayed at their car or whatever, like things like that. But it wasn't like a free for all party where everyone, I feel like people's conception of porn, sometimes they think it's just like some big mansion and everyone's just fucking everybody. And it's like totally not like that. It's really like structured. Like
the
you said,
fucking is very intentional.
You're doing like, paperwork. You're like making sure that you're not under the influence. You're, you're doing all these things. It's very.
Well, it's weird because it's
and then there's the sex part.
When the sex is the job, all of a sudden it's just sort of seems like nobody's in the environment in which sex is the job. Nobody's really just having sex for fun. Or at least less. People think
like
that
less,
everybody's
yes.
fucking just for fun,
Yes.
just because there's one group of people who are having sex because it's their job.
Because you have to like work the next day, and so why are you gonna like if you're an athlete, why would you go and play like a pickup game the day before to like when you have to go a big game the next day, so that just things like that, and it's a craft. I always say it's like we're sexual athletes.
Right, yeah, because me and my girl will always be going to do an OnlyFans scene with some girl, and then the girl would be like, honestly, like I've been getting the shit fucked out of me for 6 days. Can we just do my mouth?
Like that's like so
like,
not
okay,
sexy
sure.
though. Like that's like for me, and that's why for another reason why I stopped doing scenes too is it became to the point where people didn't really like having sex anymore. And for me, even though it is a business, I like having sex and I like enjoying that moment with my partner. And it's like I said, it's a sexual moment. But then it became to the point where people could care less what you were doing. They were like just worrying about the paycheck, worried about going home to their boyfriend, going home, doing whatever. And so for me, it just became a thing. It just wasn't fun. And I always told myself that I'd stop when it wasn't fun.
So that first time when you're having sex on some person's land, was that?
That was exciting.
It was exciting, right? Because
Yeah.
you never did this, so you're sort of like.
It's adrenaline rush. You're just like, it was taboo. It was like, oh, I'm about to have sex with someone that I would have probably had sex with anyways if I met him at this party. And yeah, I'm going to get paid for it.
But so yeah, there's like a lot of different reasons that you could get into porn. Do you feel like a big part of it, from your perspective, was just that you wanted to sort of explore all the different things that you're into?
I think for me after that, like I thought I would only do one scene. I didn't think that it would like go back because again, when at that time there was so much porn in there, it's on DVD, so it takes a long time, and so it was like finding a needle in a haystack. They were like, no one will ever find out and know that you did this, all this stuff like that. So I kept in contact.
That's a hilarious lie right there.
A very big lie.
No one's ever gonna find out.
Well, back then, it was
Right,
lesser of a evil of things of finding out, but shortly after, he asked me if I wanted to go and do a scene for Bang Bros. And so I went out there, I shot for Bang Bros, and I loved it. So I liked the whole glamour of the whole things, the whole like sexual aspect. I felt very free, and yeah, so I moved to LA a week later.
A week later? After
later.
After it came out, or after you did the scene?
After, actually, like literally a week later, because that day, how I told you before, the movie that I actually shot first didn't come out yet. So that Monday, Bang Bros does a new release. Right. So on Monday, that scene came out, and I worked at a bar, and everyone had something to say. I didn't realize how many college kids actually watch porn, because I wasn't watching it. So then
if you're a kid in college and the bartender at the bar has a porn scene come out on Bang Bros, this is not a small deal. This is literally like me going through every name in my phone. Yo, that girl
and it
from
was
the...
like, yeah,
I would lose
it was
my mind.
Ass Parade, and so my ex-boyfriend had
I used to literally pay for Ass Parade when I was younger. Holy shit, I forgot about that.
You probably watched my scene then.
I'm sorry to all my employees. Yes, I definitely probably did. Damn. I knew you looked familiar. Okay.
Do you need me to turn around? Just make sure you know.
But there was a girl, do you remember this girl, Naomi, who
Yes.
actually died of AIDS?
I didn't know she'd passed. Actually, I did know she passed away because they did a tribute thing at AVN.
She was the fucking reason I remember I paid for that site.
She actually was in the business before I was in the business, and it was like I came in like right after. And I remember someone telling me, a really famous director, he was like, "Whatever you do, don't be like Naomi. Don't lose your butt. Don't do this," because she ended up, I think, had like a eating disorder and all these like other things that attributed to her like being really skinny and all this. Like, so it was like a big comparison, and I was like, I had no idea who she was at the time, but she was a beautiful, beautiful girl.
Yeah, because I always like, sometimes for me, as somebody who's been in a relationship for a long time and I'm just kind of getting old and stuff, it just seems crazy to me that dudes like are really just spending so much money on porn. But that girl, I wanted to see her get fucked so bad that I was actually paying for that website, even though I literally was poor myself and did not have enough money to pay for that.
But you scrapped it together because, Ass Parade's a big thing.
I remember I fucking fell and broke my kneecap open, and I was in the hospital for a week, so I wasn't able to cancel because I did one of the things where you pay for 3 days.
And you got suckered in, so then it keeps
repeating and charging you shit. I had to call my friend and be like, yo, you got to go on my computer. This is my email password. You got to cancel Ass Parade.
Were you devastated that day?
Yes, because it might have cost me like $50 or something, and I really didn't have $50 at the time to be playing with.
Yeah, those are trying times.
Had you thought of moving to LA already at that point? Was LA already this mecca in your mind of this is where entertainment happens? No.
Not at all. I had no like aspirations of being in regular mainstream movies. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I was, still in college. I was going to school for respiratory care therapy. I was.
And did that dream go away as soon as you did your first scene?
I don't want to say it went away. It just changed. I felt like, I really liked the medical field and all those things like that. But when I was waiting to go into a program. And so I went to do these porn scenes. I was going to come back. And then once I started making money, I was just like, school will always be there and I'll go back eventually. Now I feel like it's, I have my associate's degree. I didn't get my bachelor's, but I feel like it's about business-wise. I feel like it's like what you know, not or who you know, not what you know. Sometimes, so I feel like I don't necessarily would go back to school for anything at this current time. But it may change in a couple of years. I just feel like for me, I did enough school that I'm done with it for right now. So I did 3.5 years.
Yeah, I hear that. So you moved to LA though, and like how did you appreciate the lifestyle change? Like, did you fall right into it, or was it awkward at first?
It was really different. I moved into the with the guy that I got into the business with, and how I got into the business. And
wow.
then,
so he was like, "Let me fuck you in this field, and then move across the country and be my roommate."
We started dating.
Oh wow.
Yeah, we started dating.
That is so the move though. The male talent in the porn industry is always trying to find the new hot girl and then swoop them up and date them. Yeah.
Well, they get paid for it. They get a referral fee. And if you stay longer than 6 months, then you get more money. It was like a thing. I don't know how anymore, but that's how it used to be back then.
I just always see these weird situations where there'll be some like new 19-year-old girl on the scene, and then all of a sudden she's dating this hairy 40-year-old talent.
Well,
and
mine
I'm just
definitely
like,
wasn't
what is that?
40-year-old
Oh, no? He was
No.
cool?
He was young, for
Okay.
sure. He was one of those things that, like, we didn't intentionally, like, start dating. I think I got kind of, I wouldn't say bullied into it, but I got persuaded, I will say is probably the better word, choice word, into like dating. Because he realized how popular I was when I started, coming out here, and everyone wanted to shoot me because big butts started becoming really a big thing. And Brianna Love was the other big butt girl. And so it was just like no one had a body type like mine. So I think he saw an advantage or incentive or whatever to keep me under his lock and key.
The thing about
and,
the male talent is that the male talent is almost never going to get popping on their own. They have to attach themselves to.
Well, he already was, because he
Right.
was, in reality porn, and he started all those like Naughty America back in the day. So he already had his own name. But I think once he saw that, he wanted it even like to be attached to like control what I was doing. So so we were dating for a while, but I feel like it was a fake dating. Like it was like you have rules, but I have none. So like once I got out of that whole like fog and smoke and mirrors and reality set in, you realize that it wasn't a good situation.
I mean, it's got to be pretty easy to convince a girl to date you when she just moved to LA and she doesn't know anybody and you're living
True.
with her. It's like you're in such a
True.
position to like, of course you have to date me. Like you literally don't have anything else going
No
on
one
here.
has
Like,
your best interest at heart,
you know?
honey. It's okay. I'll take you under my wing. Yeah, all lies. Don't ever believe that shit.
that's so. It is crazy though, because it's like you hear a lot about that, and the new scam these days is that guys like meet girls and then they'll be like, I'm gonna manage your OnlyFans and take X percentage of your shit.
Yeah, no thanks. Not on this watch. No, thank you.
You've been in the game too long. You know not to do
Yeah,
that.
I feel like that's why these walls are a little bit higher, because I'm not saying that I've never been fucked over, and I have. I've been this situation. I was divorced in the business and things like that, and not that anything particularly happened, but you just see things that you wouldn't have seen otherwise if you just haven't gone through it. So that's why I feel like just gotta watch my own booty sometimes.
This is true. You gotta stay on top of your own shit. So okay, you just keep working in the business though, and does your career just kind of explode? Was there ever a moment where it felt like, oh, I'm like really a big deal? Like I've actually really kind of crossed over from just being a new girl in the game to really being a star to a certain extent?
I think for me, that's why I feel like why I think the word star is like kind of like a sacred thing for me at certain times. Like I feel like maybe like had it been like 3, maybe 4 years in, like people started to recognize me in like certain places, if it was airports or in different cities or things like that. It was kind of ironic, even though I didn't know that could happen, because I just wanted to do porn, and I just thought porn was like a way to express myself sexually, because I've always been comfortable in my own skin and body. So I didn't think that it would like trickle down to someone in Ohio or Tennessee knowing who I was, because I just did this scene. So I didn't really know the magnitude of the effect that porn really had to everyone. So I feel like around that time, and then it just became a thing where my family found out. I had no other choice but to like kind of drop it my own way, like is saying it.
So it took a few years for your family to figure it out?
I feel like probably like a year and a half into it. I told my dad early on, because I knew my dad watched it, and I knew that the women that he liked had big booties as well.
That's the worst nightmare, is not only your daughter doing porn, but your daughter being the exact type of girl that you watch do porn.
I told him that what it was, and he was like, so I ruined porn for him. He's never watched it since I told him. So I
understand that. Like I feel like
he's like, I'm afraid you're gonna pop out somewhere, even if you're not. And he was like,
Yes.
I can't do that. So I respect that. And so my big thing with him was he was a big fan of Howard Stern. So he's like, please, just whatever you do, don't go on the show. And he was like, you ruined porn for me. Just leave me that. And I was like, okay. So I was contracted with Adam and Eve, and I signed in my contract. I had to put in there, because they were sponsors of the show, that I could not go on the show. But yeah. So
was that ever kind of upsetting, because like literally every other big porn star is pretty much going in there?
I don't think it was upsetting, and there came like towards the end of my career, he was like, if you want to go on it, I don't care anymore, kind of thing. And it was over. But in the beginning, it was like his thing.
I wonder if your dad's a No Jumper fan.
I don't know if he's a No Jumper fan, but
Well,
I'm sure.
It's not happening from here. Actually, I feel like I've been fairly respectful, so maybe he would. Yeah.
I mean, my dad listens to my podcast, and I'm quite, honest and candid. And my thing is with my parents, what I loved about them is, again, it's not something that they aspired for me to do anything like that, but they're very, supportive, and they've, never turned their back on me, and they've raised me to be who I am, and I'm, just honest in my own skin, and that's all as much as I can be.
That's dope. Yeah, because like I was bringing this up on when I was interviewing Stormy the other day, but like I watched the old Howard Stern interview with Jenna Jameson, and it's mind blowing. I think a lot of people forget how weirdly intimate those interviews were.
Yeah.
Basically like him just telling the girls what he wanted to do to them and stuff.
Exactly. And that's exactly why my dad was like, if this motherfucker tells me or tells you something, I'm gonna have to fuck him up. And I'm like, okay, Dad, we're not gonna have Howard and you in a fight. We're good. We're good.
Yeah.
He just did it with the respect level, you know what I mean? And I feel like even though he's a fan and obviously he watched this, his interviews, but I think that it was just the respect level to me and his daughter, so he didn't want it to be like, feel like he had a vendetta against him after if he said something rude to me.
Right. Damn. Shout out to your pops.
Yes,
I'm sure he's a great guy.
Dad. Yes, he is.
Did it start to, like, when did the fake booties start coming around, and how did that affect you mentally as somebody who was sort of born with that?
When did they start coming around?
Shout out Buffy the Body. Okay. That was my first memory of it.
Oh, I had a magazine. I think it was like a show magazine. With
or was
her.
it a Straight Stunting magazine, courtesy of Kay Slay?
Maybe, but I think she was in. I think she was in the show magazines too. Like magazines have been kind of.
But she had a real ass, right?
I think so. Yeah, I think she's also in the Taschen book. I'm in the Big Butt book of Big Butt book of Taschen, and I think she's in it in the middle part of it as well.
Wow.
On the cover of that book.
Wow.
Art pieces.
But around them is when all the fake booties started popping out, all this new technology.
Yeah, like the whole like video vixen, things like that. Like that, I feel like it was more attributes were definitely enhanced. For me, to each his own. I didn't have to pay for it. It just happened that way.
Right.
I mean, I respect the same way with like girls with, getting fake tits. If it makes you happy, then go ahead. I think that people get a little outrageous with it when it's like, they're putting foreign objects and substances in their bodies.
Well, all
and
the
they
girls
don't
who
know.
are dying because they got cement mixed in
Well,
their
that's what I'm saying. Like things
yeah.
like that, like you're putting something inside your body. So like that part, I would say, not to do, and have like a hesitation on all of those things. But again, this day and age, people, it's your right. If it's your body, if you would feel comfortable and you want to make your ass fucking as huge as it is, and fucking so be it.
I mean, girls get fat transfers.
Stop me.
Fat transfers now is like, girl, just do it once a year, no big deal. But when it used to be a big implant in their ass, like most girls I know who have that from back in the day now have it taken out.
Yeah, that was like, now it's definitely the thing, like you said, I think it's like BBL or something like that they do, like the whole fat transfer thing.
Fuck it out the stomach, put it in the ass. I've thought about doing it myself.
Hey, why not? If it works for you.
I want to be thick.
Thick thighs saves lives.
2 C's. Yeah, but okay, so that sort of came out. Did you get chased down for a lot of like video vixen opportunities? I know you actually did the Juicy J video.
I did Band to Make Her Dance.
But was there a lot of options, or was there a lot of attention like that? Because now you see somebody like a young Dolph who is literally like breaking Instagram models in his videos. Like that's kind of like their first thing that they've done, like on a more mainstream level, is they, have like a new Instagram girl that you've never seen in a music video before. It's kind of.
Yeah, I feel like for me, I haven't really had I wanted to be selective about the music videos that I did because I wanted it to be like a big thing, not just like every like a background girl or this or that, whatever.
It can become very corny very fast.
Yeah, and I kind of have my own brand, so I'm really selective of the projects that I like to do and be like that. So when Bands and Make Her Dance came out,
that's the
that
one.
whole thing, it was a fun project to do.
Perfect opportunity, classic song.
Yeah,
still hear it all the time.
It was fun. It was a lot of fun. So after that, I was like, I can't, I started so high, I can't like fall off and do something like mediocre.
How was Juicy J though? You get to talk to him a lot?
He was a little nervous. I feel like I was told that he refused to do a scene with me because he wanted to keep focused on work. Because I danced in like, it was at a strip club. So I was like doing a whole like couch dance. So I ended up just doing it solo. So I don't know if that's true or not, but I don't know. He was a little afraid of me. Project Pat was a lot of fun.
Really?
2 Chainz was there. He was really nice, respectful. Lil Wayne wasn't there.
Really? So
that was a shame. I wish I would have met him.
Would you say that for the most part, that sort of stereotype of rappers being super disrespectful to women, is that from your experience not really the case?
I've never had that. I think it's just with any celebrity of sorts. With men, sometimes I think that maybe that they can get any woman they want, but I feel like no one's never been to me like disrespectful. I think it's just maybe a choice of words of how your conversation may go or how they attempt to get your attention.
Right.
But I've never had anybody be totally out of pocket or be disrespectful to me.
That's good. I mean, it's about how you
But even
carry
like I
yourself,
said,
too.
like with Juicy J, like it wasn't him being disrespectful. I respect he's in his craft. He's doing a video. He's doing whatever. And if that was again the case, or maybe they just didn't have time for that scene, who knows? But
Well, if he
it
gets
wasn't disrespectful.
If Juicy J gets a throbbing boner in the middle of the video shoot, it's bad for business.
We might shut down the whole thing in a strip club. You never know.
Yeah.
So I mean, again, respectful. It wasn't anything. It wasn't like, oh, fuck this bitch, nothing like that at all. So like I said, it could have been true or not.
I mean,
who knows?
some rappers, I'm not saying this about Juicy J, I have no idea, but some rappers, they're sort of like, they're tied to this like ratchet image to a certain extent. And some of them do have wives back at home that maybe are cool with them having a video in a strip club, but they don't want the girl actually on his fucking lap. We don't
True.
know. Because if Juicy J was happily married, we probably would not know. It would be smart business-wise for him to keep that
Yes,
hush
because you
hush.
want to seem to be, obtainable to everybody. And I respect that. Everybody has their own rules, and to each his own. I still got paid. I was still in the video. I had a fun time doing it. It was a lot of fun. We went to Atlanta, shot it.
I know a lot of OnlyFans girls who are acting like they don't have a boyfriend, and they got a boyfriend.
Their boyfriend's filming
Yes.
and taking that percentage.
For real. Like I've literally been sitting here doing an interview with a girl, her telling me like, yeah, I'm not in a relationship. I just like to have fun. I like to just fuck guys, whatever. And then as soon as the interview ends, there's a guy sitting on the couch and he's just like, yeah, I'm her husband. We have 2 kids. I'm like, oh, all right.
Lies, deception.
Yeah, it's
all.
crazy, right?
Well, mine is the truth. I do not have a husband. I have an ex-husband, thank God. And no boyfriends, no nothing.
Really?
No girlfriends.
Is that like, where do you think, like, how high does that seem on the importance scale for you to actually get into a relationship
To
at this
me,
point?
I'm more focused on work. I'm more focused on my podcast and trying to get that to the next level. And to me, if it happens, it happens, and I'm very think about like energy and organicness, and like, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. I'm not going to force anything. Like I said, I have a lot of big walls. I know I have some, things to chip down myself. So it's, I think it's a lot of self-work as well, but.
So you're not in some rush to pump a kid out?
Not at all. I'm 34 and happily 34, and I don't have any children. Not saying I don't want any, but I don't think it's my time yet, and I don't want to be a baby mama. I want to be, be in a committed relationship and with the person that I choose to do that, if that's the case.
What are these walls all about? Like, if one were to date you, what is going to be like what is it? Do you have just a hard time letting people in?
I think that's the case. But once you've dated me, I don't have these walls up because now you've already knocked down that whole barrier. I think that the walls, what I say is just even the approach to speak to me. Because people always say, like, you're so intimidating. Oh, you have a great resting bitch face. I'm like, yeah, because I talk to people all day long. It doesn't mean that I don't like people, but if you want to talk to me in an appropriate manner, then get to know me, then I'm all fucking for it. So let's do it. But yeah, so more or less for that, I don't have these huge walls, but just because I feel like I shouldn't have to talk to you. I feel like it's like a mutual thing.
Yeah, it's crazy because it's like nowadays it feels like it's so, like it would be so hard for a guy to just walk up to you and start a conversation at Subway.
But I think that
Not
it's
that
all
you
in
go to Subway.
but I think it's context, you know what I mean? Like I was just at an event the other day, and I think like how, like I said, the dating thing is so crazy. The guy just like walked up to this girl and handed him his phone and was like, hey, put your number in there. And I'm like, she's like, okay. I'm like, this is how people do this. I'd be like, fuck you. I'm not giving you my number.
Yeah.
But like, I'm not
knowing nothing about you.
Which you like, you have to put in some work. And I'm not saying you have to fucking do back bends and sit-ups.
Yeah.
But
it's crazy because nowadays the way that we communicate with each other, it seems like hitting somebody up on the internet is so much more almost appropriate to the way that we communicate with each other. Because all right, think about it. If I were single and I met a girl, I'm never gonna call her randomly. Because you're scared that they're going to be so doing their own
people
personal
do that.
thing.
They'll FaceTime you, and I think that's so evasive. Like that, this new generation likes to FaceTime everybody, and I feel like it's good for certain things. But I feel like you got to either give me a heads up, or like it's a little bit more like you getting to know someone. Because I do say that it does help getting to know someone a little bit better if you're out of state or something like that. But right off the bat, like I've had people, I just won't answer. And then they'll call me and then I'll answer.
Me FaceTiming you randomly is like me just showing up at your crib.
Exactly.
It's
I
like
think
weird, like abusive shit.
I need to notice. Like
Yeah,
you
I
can't
gotta do my hair.
Exactly, especially for a girl.
But see, that's the thing I like, and I feel like that is what I have learned from rappers in large part is FaceTime a motherfucker, because it's so direct
They're the
and
worst.
confrontational. It's so like just straight up like, yo, what's up? How you doing? It's like you can't do the thing where you text somebody and they don't respond to you for 2 days.
So
and then
that's
they
what
hit
I'm
you
doing
back.
wrong. I should just start FaceTiming people. Got it.
There's
Good to
some
know.
value to it. Like, okay, there's a lot of value in, I think like face-to-face meetings. Like if we were going to do some business deal together, yes, we could email about it all the time. Yes, we could text about it, but it just feels like there's something more personal if we actually bother to meet up with each other.
I could understand that. But that's, again, you've already, like, not first meeting someone, you're doing a business thing with them. It's not like
true.
you're just like, hey, getting to know someone like the first time that I just gave you my phone. I'm like, hey, I'm going to call you from the car. No, thank you. I'm not answering. Or I'm going to call you with 20 of my friends so I can show up. No, thank you.
Oh, no.
That's happened to me a lot. And that to me is like,
God.
and that's when I know, oh, red flag, you want to fuck Alexis Texas. Go to my OnlyFans. Thank you.
That's so lame. Well, but the main thing that really fucks you up is when you get a FaceTime from somebody and it just becomes insanely obvious that your pace that you're moving at in your life is nothing like the pace that the person who's hitting you up is. Because somebody will hit me up and be like, what you doing? What you doing later?
Like they have nothing to say while they're FaceTiming you.
Just chilling. And I'm like, bro, I got like 5 fucking meetings today. I don't have like 20 minutes to hang out on the phone. I don't have 20 minutes to do anything. Like I have 20 minutes that I'm gonna have to eat lunch later, and that's the most chill part of my day.
Yeah, I have some friends like that I won't answer because I know it's gonna be like a 20-minute phone call.
But
I'm like,
and
no time.
they don't understand where you're coming from because they're from Texas or whatever, and like life is very slow there in comparison to out here.
It is very slow out here, but I don't think that nobody understands, especially even people in California. I feel like even though it's the fast pace of life, it depends on what kind of field you're in as well.
This is true.
And some people are just busier than others.
Yeah, and some people just got nothing going on.
True.
If you got a packed schedule, it's hard to relate to somebody that's just doing absolutely nothing. Anyway, what else you got going on? You're working on the podcast. What are the other things that occupy your time on a day-to-day?
Nothing really. I feel like the podcast has taken over my life. You should come on Private Talk and be a guest.
Let's go. I'm bringing my girl.
I like it. We'll have a duo. I like that. We talk about couple stuff, single stuff, all kinds of things. It'll be a lot of fun.
Wow.
That my OnlyFans as well. Like I keep doing that because of my brand. Like just because I've done the podcast and I'm not shooting anymore, I'm still very much into the Alexis Texas and my brand, and elevating that as well. But that's really about it. Don't really have time for anything else. We just finished AVN. We was out there for a week.
How was that?
It was chaotic. It was crazy, but a lot of fun because it was my last AVN.
You're never going back.
For me, like I said, I haven't shot in 4 years, and it's kind of, there's no need for me to go back. I love seeing my fans and things like that, but I do Exotica conventions throughout the year. So
but Exotica is very different, like vibe-wise, according to my girl at least.
Yes and no. I feel like at one point it used to be very highly different than AVN. And AVN, it is still different because it's on a larger scale, and at the end it's an award show. It's on Showtime, and it's all those things like that. But with the Exotica level, it's still a convention. I feel like it's more to the consumer and your fans. So for me, I sell my merchandise. I sell pictures. I have a Team Texas booth out there that I host a twerk contest at all the Exoticas. So yeah, I like that more. And for me, it's just better to do those, and we do 4 a year. So I feel like for me, that's the best place to come and find me and do like a meet and greet and things like that.
Are you not going to be able to win a fan favorite ass if you stop going? Because you've won like 8 years in a row or some shit, right?
I did win 3 years in a row. Bella Danger actually
she wins
just
now.
won. Yeah, so I feel like she's
very different type of ass.
It is very different type of ass, but there's different types of booty as we talked about earlier.
True.
So I feel like it's again with like evolving, there has to be a new winner sometime. I can't win it every year. So, she has a nice ass, and I think that she's gratefully, deserving of the title as well. But I don't know if it's definitely like it can never be winning it again. I think that the only way I would really go back is like if I was in the Hall of Fame, I'd go back for the awards. But for the actual convention itself, I'm just going to stick to doing the Exoticas.
Do you feel like the girls vibe you because you're not shooting anymore? Like you think you're better than them or something?
I don't know, because I'm not really around them like that.
You don't really give a shit either way, right?
I just, I don't think I'm better than anybody. I put my pants on every single day, just like everybody else. And if you want to talk to me in the same way and be respectful, then I'm all for it. But if someone wants to be disrespectful, then I can be disrespectful just as much. But it never really goes that way. I feel like people are really respectful to me in the business. I've never exuded that kind of like arrogance or anything like that. So I feel like I'm pretty easy to talk to once those walls are down.
Right. Let me ask you this, and we're near the end of this, but Stormy Daniels told me that she had a guy wait in line for her meet and greet, and then right when it was time to take the photo, he just ducked his head down and just licked her armpit from bottom to the top.
That's intense.
She told me that was like probably the worst / creepiest thing that ever happened at a meet and greet. You got anything close to that?
That's kind of creepy.
I want to know this dude that just wants this armpit taste in his mouth.
You'd be surprised. There's lots of fetish weird things that, people enjoy, that it's different strokes for different folks. For me, I don't know, again, if it's because I give this intimidating look or people like don't really know, but I've had people kind of grab my ass or like do things like that. But I always say, like, if I put your hands there, then it's okay. But if you're not, then, I've definitely slapped a person a time or two. I learned a trick from this girl, Rebecca Linares, from a long time ago. She was like, oh, they want to touch your ass? She's like, just take their finger and twist their finger. She's like, because they want a picture and they're going to smile still. She's like, but they'll learn. They'll never touch you again. I said, oh, okay, good. So you got to, like, scare people a little bit. If you don't let them know once, then that they're going to keep on doing it.
Twist the fingers.
Twist it.
That's a good note right there.
Got to let them know. You can't always, put the hands on the goods.
Yeah, that's a fact. Damn. All right. Well, I appreciate you coming through and giving us some of your time. It's been very fascinating.
Thank you for having me. You definitely have to come and bring your girl on Private Talk Podcast.
Let's do it. I'm ready.
All right.
Alexis Texas.
Thank
Appreciate you. No Jumper, coolest podcast in the world. Check us out on YouTube, SoundCloud, iTunes. Like, comment, subscribe. NoJumper.com if you want support.
Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure you follow me at White Girl Politicking and Private Talk Podcast Instagram.